like I almost want to go straight to Kaladin because got such strong opinions about Kaladin. But I feel like we have to leave him until the end.
I don't like so much of what happens with Kaladin in this book, but then like some of my favorite moments are also of this book are also with Kaladin.
I have no idea what the fuck you're talking about.
I like it. It's a dumb thing, but I like the scene of him and Syl like doing the kata and dancing. I think it's a sweet scene for a character who's been like with the trigger in his mouth for like 4 books in a row here. It's a nice scene to see that character happen.
That could have been a nice scene if it was done with a different character. That wasn't acting like such a giant blabbering pussy. Maybe the Windrunners, maybe that's what it is. It's about the wind running through their flapping pussies. That's just what I get from Kaladin.
Oh, jeez, dude. Yeah, no, the therapy was... It felt like such a modern...
Are we talking Kaladin?
Yeah, we're already in it, dude. We're into Kaladin. So
the main character.
We're like wrist deep in Kaladin at this point, given how the story's been going. Oh, here. I'll ask you this: what do you think about the end result of Kaladin's story? Like, what he like? Spoilers, guys. Warning. Final warning. Spoilers. He ends up as a herald. I actually like that ending. I just don't like so much of this book. I hate how much therapy there is.
If all you tell me is like, yeah, Kaladin becomes a herald, and I'm like, oh, that's cool,
awesome.
But then you tell me any of the details around it, and I'm like, that's fucking dumb. Like so much stupid around it.
Kaladin.
But let's not jump too far ahead into the part where it becomes a herald. So the Kaladin story throughout this entire Stormlight 5 is that he's with Szeth, and they're on a mission to go get all the honor blades. He's sent by Dalinar, is that correct?
It's kind of, he's sent by the wind also.
The wind, which that's another discussion. The introduction of the wind, the earth, and are they Spren? Are they whatever? Are they just
the wind, the rock,
different?
The wind, the rock, and the night. Those are the old spirits.
Yes.
Yeah.
Which, how are they different than the Stormlight, the Stormfather, the sibling, and the night thing?
Because no, what happened? I can explain this real quick. So before the shattering of Adonalsium, he creates Roshar. On Roshar, he gives some form of sentience to 3 different, like, basically original spreads.
Yes, but here's the thing, and it's like I always talk about with a lot of people's stories, they don't have the good idea of fairy filtering, right? Like people just have too many ideas and they need to filter it. And obviously that's always been a problem with Sanderson, but like, dude, way too far. We have too many things. How many things have already been introduced that we have to keep track of?
Well, it's also tricky because parts of those original Spren were taken by the shards when they came to Roshar and incorporated. So it's like, hey, it's the same thing you've seen before, but it's the original version.
It's just it was dumb. We can probably get into that later, but yeah. So they're on the mission to get the honor blades, and literally every time we get to one of their chapters, which I'll say, like overall in this entire book, the switching back and forth was getting pretty bad. It was a little too frequent between characters.
I'll confess something. I actually, for the most part, I liked the 10-day aspect of this book.
I like that. I like that idea
because it creates like
tension.
A natural countdown, and that was a really interesting. I've never seen that happen in a book before. I thought that was really interesting.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I like that, having that countdown to create the tension.
I suppose we should talk about Szeth too, because he's with Kaladin like the entire book. Well,
yeah, I'm saying when we're talking about characters, we're probably going to talk about like the group they're with, you know. So they're on a mission to get the honor blades, so that means they have to defeat each champion that's with them. And what I was going to say is that every time we go back to Kaladin or Szeth, I'm like, please just, can we not? Both these characters
I actually liked the Szeth flashbacks though. I liked his growing up story. It wasn't bad, but it was a good one. I thought there was like, it was all, honestly, I almost would have rather read that whole book instead of just, you know, everything that we had in this book.
It wasn't bad. My biggest problem with Szeth, and this isn't a Stormlight 5 critique, is I just never gave, like, I'm a minority on this. Like, I'm just like, he should have died back when they had the big fight in the 2 storms.
In Words of Radiance, yeah,
that he should have died. And like, there's such this big problem with. I could have sworn Brandon Sanderson liked killing his characters sometimes, but he just cannot do it in the story.
He also likes resurrecting people. He's done it with Kaladin 3 times.
Too much.
Yeah,
Szeth should have been dead, and I kind of think that the entire like people in the culture of Szeth kind of don't really make sense. I don't understand why people aren't trying to take over this land.
It's a very there's a lot of geological barriers. The mountains are like nigh impassable, which is
I guess that's true, and that's something you kind of don't really. It's kind of hard to conceptualize in your
people
head
with low T always forget about that. Yeah,
I don't know. I just felt like he was like a little boring, and I just was kind of always just like, why is he back? And I'm like I was like, okay, I get it. He's a misunderstood villain. It's another misunderstood villain. But I'm like, that could be true, but we could also have him dead, and then also maybe tell a different story with one of his family members or something.
I also like that who the book was written by. I thought that was kind of neat, because at first I thought it was written by it was written by a woman in Shinovar who ends up marrying and becoming the wife of Szeth.
Yeah, that's right. Story. Yeah, they say that right at the end. I had to rewind it like 3 times to like
get it right.
But it's a character we never meet.
From as far as I know, maybe she's mentioned earlier, but I don't remember it.
Yeah. So, like right in the early, it's established that with Wit, which that's another thing. But like, that Kaladin is going to be a therapist, and they don't just like heavily say that in the writing. They flat out say like, Kaladin, you're going to be the world's first therapist, and I'm like, wow, I can't imagine something less I would rather fucking read about is just therapy.
You know what I would have liked? I would have liked if Wit didn't say if he didn't say the word therapy, it would have not hit me as hard. But like, I've never been taken out of a book as much as like him telling him he's going to be the world's first therapist, or when Syl said her famous freaking like the worst line.
She called Kaladin racist in the most cringy thing ever.
That's racist, Kaladin.
Because they're like, racist. Oh, not all Spren have numbered names or whatever. Or that's not.
And she's at like, what do you mean? What do you mean?
What do you mean racist? Can we?
Like he literally has no way of knowing that. And even among the Spren, it's not a normal thing. If I went to a foreign country and they had numbers for names, why would I expect that?
Yeah.
It's just dumb, dude.
Or does the other clan have numbers for names? What? How could you ever assume that or ask that question? I don't know. It was so bad. And just so much about this I just couldn't stand. And it's funny too because so let's say he didn't even flat out say therapy. It still was terrible because it's just like and this was something that people said worked really well with Kaladin before because they're like, oh, this is the best interpretation of PTSD. And I'm like, yeah, you can talk about your feelings and stuff like that. You could try to work through your trauma or whatever, but like it
won't solve all your problems. It has to have a component of action, which is why when he talks to Szeth, I don't mind it as much. But when he just like fixes nail, I am bothered by it.
Well, even with Szeth, because it's so on the nose of trying to, it is literally like he has 2024 like therapy books of like trying to understand the mind, and it's just like this is so takes me out so hard, yeah.
And again, I think part of it is that the writing overall prose and quality. There's a lot more modern language that doesn't fit. There's a lot of the way people talk is not. It used to sound very medieval, or not medieval, but at least not modern. And now everybody talks really, really modern. Did you notice that in this book?
Oh, absolutely. Well, a lot of people pointed out too that Adolin specifically, with one of the lines, said he dates Shallan when it's like every other time it's been mentioned, it's been courting. Yeah. So yes, no modern. And look, there's no other better way to make it sound modern than therapy talk. It's just so modern. It's something that we didn't start discovering or conceptualize really in like the 1900s.
I was going to say like last 150 years or so, maybe 200 years. Not even that. Yeah.
And even at that, like you're still years off of like the type of thinking that Kaladin's
like definition doing. And yeah.
Oh my god, it was so bad. And I know we mentioned like, hey, they go to like base each of the honor blade wielders, and I'm like, that sounds really cool. Again, on paper, it sounds freaking awesome. They're going to go take down these people wielding these legendary blades.
It's like he's Scott Pilgrim beating the 10 USs or whatever. Yeah.
Well, they're all stage 5, like basically radiant powers.
They're very strong. They're trained with the honor blades.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I had a weird moment. At first, when it was first, like in the first Szeth flashback, when his father was like, I can't condone this action my son did. I'm like, oh my god, it's another fucking Lyran. Like Kaladin's loser, but dad, but then his dad, like Szeth's dad, ended up being pretty cool. Like he was very dedicated to his family and very, like he was deceived, but he was a good man. I'm like, never mind, he's nothing like Lyran. F Lyran, I still hate that guy.
And I'll say, like, Brandon still writes some good fight scenes. Like when he fought against the Honor Blade people, like those were pretty entertaining chapters that we got, how they would fight and everything like that. My biggest problem though was the lack of help with anything with Kaladin. And this is like my biggest complaint in the entire story is that you have one of the most powerful people in the Risharan world, as far as people know, or that is allowed to participate, because technically win and everything. But he's a stage 4 oaths radiant person, which only one other person that we know of, I guess Shallan and Yesna, are the only other 2 people. And he's like stage the leader 4 of the Windrunners.
We make it sound like
man the fuck up
stage 4
and go fight. What are you doing? Like, I'm gonna retire, bro. The world is at trouble, and you're one of the strongest champions. Stop being such a giant fucking pussy and go fight.
Oh, I have that brings up another really big problem I have with this book. The like taking the wind out of oaths and taking the
we'll get.
That has a bit more to do with another character, but it's a huge problem in this book.
We'll get because we'll get into that. I mean, we'll get into that with this story because that happens. It's like every fucking character arc, they renounce their fucking oaths. And like you were gonna say,
the problem, like if a couple characters, whatever. But it's like the whole theme of this book is oaths bad. It's like, but here's the main argument of the book. It's like oaths are bad, can be very bad for the individual. Yeah, oaths are not made because it'll help you most of the time. Oaths are made because it's a self-sacrificing gesture and a promise to someone else. And that was
one of the things I really liked about the Stormlight series. Is like, man, oaths are like that. Like, I remember telling my wife, like, we need to bring back people making oaths. Like, people need to take their words seriously.
Kaladin choosing to protect the king in Words of Radiance is one of the best scenes in any book I have ever read. It's an incredible scene. It's an incredible moment of like declaration of intent and power and sacrifice. And now this whole book is just taking a giant shit on it. And
it's not a bad thing to explore that concept where oaths can be like bad or whatever. But this was explored in the worst way. And it wasn't even really about exploring that as much as saying flat out oaths are bad. I don't know how you don't come away from this book thinking that that's kind of like the direction that Brandon was taking this.
I'm also going to drop this in here real quick. For anyone who isn't familiar with us and is watching, we're so critical of some of the things in this book because like Joe and I both love Stormlight. Like for me, it was my favorite fantasy series before this book.
Well,
and now I can't. Yeah, for sure in the Cosmere.
Well, I mean, the Warbreaker is my favorite book. I think the Mistborn for Era 1 is like a perfect trilogy. So those are all part of the same Cosmere universe, and we now have Stormlight 5, the most important part of the Cosmere to date, I guess.
Yeah.
And damn.
Yeah.
Damn.
I'll say this on Twitter, Michael Caine, Michael Caine, an indie author that I know, he brought up a really good point that is part of the problem with the Stormlight books specifically. Each book is so many words. Each book is essentially a trilogy. So if you look at it like that, this would be the equivalent of like book 18 in a series, not book 5.
Sure.
Which I think that it's not the entire problem, but I think it is part of it because you don't want to just repeat the same story beats over and over again.
Well, everyone,
I think that's part of it.
I've seen a lot of criticism online. I think everyone, like big, huge Brandon Sanderson fans, like Daniel Green and stuff like that. Well, like even personal friends of him, right? They've all been very critical of this book. I think they
haven't
need to be more critical, but
yeah,
it's like this book needs to be criticized way more, in my personal opinion. But yeah, all of them have said some like similar criticism. Like everybody agrees the length of the book is just there's a good 20% at least that could have been cut out.
Yeah. You don't he like Brandon has fallen into the trap that I've seen with a lot of these kind of books. Every book in a series has to be bigger and longer.
And it doesn't.
You can't always do that. Like that's something I admire about one of my other favorite authors, Pierce Brown. He's the author of Red Rising, my favorite, like one of my favorite series. He has his first trilogy and then he has his second quadrilogy. First book in the second quadrilogy is bigger, and then it gets bigger, and then it gets smaller. His third book in his second series actually was smaller than the first in that series. It's like something, and it's like completely different. I'm like,
well,
I've
it's like
never
you
seen
always
an
say,
author do that. Yeah,
a story is as long as it needs to be, and it
Doesn't
doesn't
have to
always
always
need to
be-
be longer.
it doesn't eat like I'll say something controversial. It doesn't always have to be bigger. It has
Well,
to have impact, even if it's a smaller scale story.
Yeah, yeah. Just aiming for that word count is just it's just not a good idea. But back to the characters at
Kaladin,
hand.
yeah.
So I mean, is there any one of their specific fights we kind of want to talk about? I mean, like they were all done pretty decently. We had Nightblood, right? That's his name.
Nightblood. I really
Yeah.
I like how he was utilized in this book. I also I don't have any problem with the way Nightblood is. The fact that he's talking to the Honor Blades and learning how to grant powers to people. I think that's such a cool in-world idea. I love that idea. Because it's an intelligent sword. He's like he is the weirdest thing in the Cosmere to date.
I had one problem, and this is kind of an overall criticism of the Cosmere universe now. He just granted, like, so we get to the end, right? Like, I guess let's not even talk about any specific fights. Let's talk about because the Honor Blade fights, they're good fights, but there's, I don't know, it's
there are
one
a
step
lot
to
of
the end, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, Nightblood granted Szeth Windrunner abilities.
No, Edge Dancer. Edge Dancer.
Oh, was it? I guess
he
I was
him,
checked out pretty hard.
Yeah, I wasn't checked out. I was just very aware.
I was trying. Yeah. I was so annoyed with what was happening. Well, he had Edge Dancer abilities then? Why Edge Dancer?
Temporary. Because he's talking to the other Honor Blades, and he already defeated the Edge Dancer, so he was he already had that.
Nightblood did. Yeah, so he kind of absorbed. Okay, so he kind of absorbed that power. That's okay.
Yeah,
well, I guess that kind of helps. I still have some over. I'll save that to the end, but all right, I'm okay with that. So I think at first though, big fight wise, we had because the entire time Kaladin only cares about trying to therapy Szeth, and then he tries to therapy Nail, the Herald.
I don't actually hate that scene. I just hate the therapy aspect of it.
Yeah, but basically, the reason they're doing this is a pilgrimage for Szeth to become a Herald. So that's like the goal of their mission,
or to cleanse Shinovar, whatever that means.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that's only told to them in this book when they're like by themselves by Nail, right? Nail is kind of.
I liked how we got to see his path. I like this. I like that we understand why he is the way he is.
Yeah, but it kind of just solidifies my thinking from originally when we got introduced to the what the hell are they called? What's
Windbreakers?
Fart waters. No, what's their radiant
the Skybreakers, you mean?
Skybreakers, yeah. Okay, so their logic and everything, it's just retarded. I mean, can we not any character taking the law that seriously to that culty of a way? I'm just like, this is too retarded. Come on, guys.
I'm gonna disagree with you. I think
I like the idea they're going with. I'm like, come on.
I don't like some of the execution in this book. I like again, for me, I'm not upset with everything that happens. I'm upset about a lot of execution. I'm upset about some of the focus. I'm upset about, again, there is so much therapy in this book for the love of all that is holy under God, dude.
Yeah, I like that one. One review somebody left. If you like therapy and contract negotiations, this will be great for you.
No. That was close. It was a woman. She said, "Yeah, if therapy and contract negotiations gets you hot, then this is the book for you."
Which is basically the best summarization I've heard.
Oh, it was good, dude. It was good.
Yeah, but yeah, Kaladin fights Nail for a bit, and Kaladin gets his ass beat.
I'm actually okay with him losing to like a 10,000.
Oh yeah, of course,
5,000-year-old Herald. I'm okay with that.
Right. Who says the fifth oath? Because then we get to this point where, because I guess all the Honor Blade users are, and I forgot. I'm remembering more, but I'm like all the Honor Bladers are now.
They're puppets of Ishar, the Herald.
Yeah, they're they can't die.
Their spirits are held captive.
The main Herald is able to create his own heralds, I guess.
Ishar, because after Honor dies, his powers as a bondsmith are not held in check anymore. Because a bondsmith is the most powerful Radiant Order there is, because of what they're able to do. And yeah, Ishar is crazy. He's done some crazy nonsense.
Yeah, it's again. There's a little bit adding too much to the world again, but it's fine. So I guess
there
Szeth
were
had to go up
19 levels of complication added to the Cosmere with this book, and it was too much.
Szeth had to do this epic fight by himself against all of the Honor Blade wielders, and he runs out of Stormlight, right? Like, and it's like this oh shit moment. Like Szeth's gonna die, and Kaladin's like, "What can I do?" And then he says his fifth oath, which I'm sorry, no, I must protect myself so I can protect others. It's not like a bad oath, but I'm like, this is definitely not number 5.
This is not. This should not be number 5.
Like, it's so
also,
lame.
Szeth skipped the 4th ideal.
Yeah, it's
what the hell is going on?
I see people like, oh, I like that he did that. Like, just shut up. It's stupid. He says I'm the law, and immediately I forgot who said theirs first.
Scene recreation. I am the law.
Like the opposite effect of Judge Dredd for me. So we have like two of the worst oath reveals because like it's always such an epic moment when an oath is like revealed, and it's just like
even the 4th ideal for the Windrunners. I will accept that there are those I cannot protect.
Fantastic.
That's a great and like for Kaladin, that's like the perfect oath. It was great.
That's why I'm like. And this is part of my thing. I'm like, I don't think that was originally his 5th oath. I think that was changed. I'm sorry. There's like no way it was this bad from you.
I wonder. I see what it's. I could go either way. I have no because we don't know, and I haven't seen any interview where he's revealed what all he had written out at the begining. It does feel like this whole thing has taken a very strange turn.
It's such a drastic turn. That's why I'm like, it has to be different. But it's like it just was such a lame oath. I must protect myself so I can protect others. Like, dude, I mean, like that's basic fucking knowledge. Like, I don't know. It's not like some.
It's not.
Like,
it's not even
revelation.
an oath. It's not even an oath. It's like it's an
it
acknowledgement of your
therapy.
own it's acknowledging that you can't help others unless you exist. Yeah,
I mean, it's just taken away from that core like of like sacrifice, like that thing that we love to read in stories when people sacrifice, like not just like sacrifice to death, but like put your life on the line. I must protect myself.
Like,
you're not putting your life on the line.
Go all the way back to the first book, The Way of Kings, Kaladin jumping over, or Dalinar giving up his sword Oathbringer for the Bridgeman, like stuff like that shit, dude.
It's cool
thing.
It's cool thing.
Yeah.
Cool. Not this, and he does it. He says his 5th ideal only to power Szeth with
and to
Stormlight.
Try to help Ishar, which doesn't work the first time.
Yeah, and it doesn't really do much. And then, but Szeth says the 5th ideal. He defeats them. It's pretty anticlimactic, and then he immediately renounces his oath. And I'm like, and that's not, I don't think he was the first one to renounce his oath in the story, but it was just like.
No, they had.
Why
some
did you
stuff
say
leading up to it? Yeah.
Why did you say the oath in the first place if you're just going to renounce it immediately right there?
At least with our other friend who renounced his oath, and like there's holy crap, there's like 3 or 4 characters who renounced their oath in this book.
Right.
Like, there's a lot. Yeah.
And there's like one that kind of like might as well have.
One made sense, and I don't really buy the other 2 fully. The two that I needed to buy for this story to work, I don't buy. That's the problem.
Right. I'm trying to remember who the other last one is, though.
Spoilers, Dalinar.
Well, Dalinar, yeah, I remember him. Sigzil,
yeah.
And then who's the other one?
I think there's another one, but I can't remember who at this point.
No, I think you're thinking Adolin, but like he never said an oath, like because he kind of did in a way. Like he just denied oaths.
Oh yeah, no. Oaths are stupid, but promises.
I know it might seem like a slight difference. Well, that was like, holy shit! Wait,
everybody knows you never go full retard.
Anyone who's reading that, no.
Also, with all that being said, Adolin had the best story in the whole thing.
We'll get to that. We're going to do Adolin next.
I know.
All right, because I need like a refresher or something to ease me over. Right?
It's either that or like put the barrel in my mouth, dude. I don't know,
dude.
Oh, Christ!
What you gonna pull a Kaladin?
No, I would just think about it for a while.
Cal, what a useless piece of shit, dude. Just won't fucking go out and help his people that are dying. I don't know.
I like-
Sigil
I-
out there. They have like no troops. They don't have enough
Sigil-
people.
Sigil
Oh,
was
if
a-
only we had somebody who said the fourth idea that might possibly be able to help us. I don't know. Maybe that would be awesome.
If only like one of the most powerful, not benders. This is Avatar. If only one of the most powerful firebenders.
Oathbender.
Oh yeah, Oathbender. That's kind of his problem, actually.
I'm the last Oathbender.
Like, he's not even a main character. I'm going to address him real quick. Sigil was a bona fide badass, and I loved every scene he was in this book. I liked his fighting. I like his like when he broke his oath, it was to save someone, not to not hurt them.
We'll save it.
Yeah, we'll save it. We'll save it.
I decent. I'll say that, right? Like decent. I would not as good on as you are, but I'm like I don't have really major complaints for Sigil.
Yeah.
So Kaladin and Szeth, because I mean this is like the biggest thing besides Dalinar's part. Which we'll be going over probably the other characters a lot quicker, honestly. It's just Szeth and Kaladin for this. Fuck. Yeah, so Szeth denies becoming a herald, and Kaladin's like, I'll be a herald. And kind of
then they redid the oath so that they wouldn't be getting tortured for thousands of years in between.
Which again, this was so stupid. What's the deal with taking away consequences? Like that was another big factor. He took away the consequence because when you say like, oh, he's gonna be herald, and he's in Braze, like so like between now Stormlight 5 and Stormlight 6 or 7 or whatever, Kaladin's going to be tortured. Like incredible. I'm like, wow, that's crazy. But they redo it so their minds don't get transported, so they're just gonna be in a big
imaginary
cloud to have their Kaladin therapy sessions for the next upcoming books.
I have a controversial differing of opinion there.
Okay,
actually, no, I don't. I don't know how I feel about it. I've been thinking about it a lot about that, and I can't decide if I love or hate it. I can't decide.
The minds part?
Yeah, I like the idea on one hand because basically it makes the Oath Pact much stronger. It's not if this is what they do. This is the condition
stupid.
they put.
I'm sorry.
It makes it so
take.
it's something that they will never have a reason to break the Oath Pact again. Basically.
Yeah, but like that again, that makes it. Then we're taking away the stakes of it. We're making it like just like okay, cool. So what's the hard decision here? There isn't a hard decision actually. We get the best of both worlds. Our bodies get tortured. What does that mean? Well, absolutely nothing because we don't feel
our
it.
bodies
so
are immortal.
Get tortured.
Yeah, no, I know what you're saying.
It took away what was cool about the Oath Pact and the tragic decisions that they had to make, and kind of like, oh, you guys are really screwed over that one guy.
All of that relates to something that I really one of my favorite scenes in this whole book. But we'll get to that here in a minute. I'll get to that here.
What, for Dalinar or which character?
No, Telen Elot or Telen Elot. The Herald.
Is that the one that never broke?
Yeah, the Bearer of Agonies. Yeah, him.
Okay, yeah.
One of the best scenes in this in one of my favorite scenes in Stormlight is in this book, and it's super short, but I love every second of it.
You gonna mention it during the Dalinar part or something?
No. When he is in the hospital and then the fused come in and start go to start hurting all the people in the hospital where he's staying. Basically, snaps him out. Oh, he said, well, yeah, he and the girl, I can't remember the Herald, I can't remember her name, the daughter. Ash, I think. Yeah, they're in there, and then the fuse come in and they're gonna start slaughtering all of these innocent, injured people, essentially, or insane people. And that snaps Talon out of his crazy, insane, like trance.
See, I didn't really relate to that because
yeah.
It's not that it was written bad or anything like that. My problem is, again, you have too many things going on. And I have to look, I'm like, okay, which herald is this, right? You just forgot the name. I was like, okay, so what's going on? Which herald is this? You got 10 fucking heralds among like the different radiant orders and this and that, blah, blah, blah. So I'm like, okay, which herald is it? So I have to now look it up. And oh, great, I just got spoiled because Kaladin's a herald. So,
yeah. Oh, fuck. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, no, that was like unavoidable because you're like, well, I need to know which herald we're talking about here. Because there's too much information, and then it's like you scroll down, and it's like right there, like the second listed herald is Kaladin.
Well, I do hate that, but what I love that scene that basically like the most badass, the most humble of all the heralds, the one who was the strongest, the best warrior. He suddenly, in a moment of need, he is able to snap out of his insanity, and wipes out like 2,000 or 3,000 dudes without an advanced weapon, and just goes to town because that's essentially what happened.
Yeah,
And
my problem with that was just is not necessarily. It's just a matter of being kind of a little confused because there's too many things to kind of try to keep track
I would
of.
say
So
that's a good
maybe a
criticism.
skill issue at that point.
That's a criticism of the overall book, but not of that scene specifically.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's maybe.
Okay. So Kaladin becomes a herald, but I'm like, yeah, but like, it's not a big deal. So he becomes like an immortal with it, which is like, okay, so you get like the thing is, if you get a great gift, it's like
that's
what's the
something else.
consequence?
The names in this book are not strong. Like they have to come up with names of new things. The new names are not strong. He's the herald of second chances, like a fucking teenage girl horse film. I do not like that name.
It's dumb.
And also, since we're going to talk about Alien, I'll skip like the name thing at the end. I hate. They are the unoathed or the unsworn or whatever the hell they're called.
We'll get to that when we get to Alien, which is going to be next. But okay, overall thoughts on Szeth and Kaladin.
On paper, I like where they end up. I like the Kaladin and Syl become heralds. Technically, Syl is a herald. Technically,
I like that. That's all I like is that singular concept. Anything else? No. No.
Again,
don't take away the punishment.
It's
like he's doing this big sacrifice. He's going to be tortured for who knows how long. But it's like, but not really. He's not really being tortured.
Yeah. I'd have to think about it more. It's an idea. I do see the problems with it, but like, there are things I do like. So it's
and also having that spoiled, finding out that he becomes a herald at the end. I'm like, oh shit, that means at the end.
I don't know, dude.
That
sounds like a skill issue. I don't know, dude.
It says located in Braze, right? So it's like, oh shit, that means during Sunlit Man, I'm like, Kaladin is being tortured for who knows how many fucking like hundreds of years. I'm like, whoa, the thought of that's crazy. But now I'm like, oh no, he's just
they're jerking
body he can't feel is being tortured.
Also, there were a couple things I'm still a little unclear on. I think we need to just cut off on Kaladin and that whole storyline.